Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's a beautiful fall day here in Maryland, and I figured I'd go ahead and get this Berlinetta up in the air a little bit so I can just take a look around and see what all we got going on. You know, make sure I don't have anything like really majorly broken that I wouldn't, something I wouldn't want to find on the highway at 60 mile an hour or going down a racetrack. This thing will probably trap maybe 90, 95 max, at least in the way it sits. So I'm taking a look around and seeing if I can find anything that's leaking or that's just flat out not connected or anything like that. So I've driven it a little bit in the yard. I know that it's got brakes, so I'm not super concerned about that, but I'll take a look at that stuff too. Okay, so right off the bat, I know we got a leaking pinion seal, as evident by the oil on the ground and the oil hanging off of the torque arm bolts there. So definitely going to need to address that at some point, but probably not today. So I'll give the U. Let's see. Okay, U-joints seem good. Oh, got a broken torque arm mount. That's not super unusual. We did at least put a polyurethane transmission crossmember in it. So yeah, that's the ugly. So we'll take care of that. When I redo this, good thing is it looks like a lot of the material is actually in pretty good shape. These little S-bend doohickey deals are actually by Hedman, and they're actually kind of expensive for what they are, and they're in great shape, so I'm going to reuse that. It does have a Flowmaster Y collector on it. That's in great shape, so I'm going to reuse that. Then it reduces down to a 2.5 right here. My thoughts are potentially maybe just cut it right there and either leave it off or maybe get a cheap like eBay cutout and put it there, and then I'll do a reducer and then go back, at least for now. So let's take a look up here. Yeah, that hose is still nice and flexible. This cracking right here is just like an external, it's more of a guard than anything. Not too much play in the steering, so that looks good. Ball joints could probably use some grease. I'm sure the steering linkage could too. That's starting to get a little hard, but still not too bad. Now remember, this car came from Georgia, so it's really, oh, it's got an open differential. Oh wait, maybe not. What way am I turning that? Forward. That one's going backward. Yeah, so open differential. So drum brakes. So at some point I'll pop the cover off and take a look in there. Probably ought to anyway, since it's dripping like crazy. I hate to do that and not do the pinion seal. Okay, so this is so stock lower control arms that probably 17 years ago I welded this piece of steel to the bottom of to help reduce some flex. So kind of an old cheap hot rodders trick, you know, way before tubular stuff was really available. So let's see if I can't bend that. Not really. That's a little better. Try and keep that stuff from hanging down. Yeah, this is pre going to any kind of welding school, matte welding. So bushings are probably OE, but they're still in there. Sway bar stuff's all hooked up still. Anyway, I don't really see anything that's like super alarming that says, Matt, don't drive this. So that's good. So I think I'm going to take this thing down the street here in a bit. So there's a couple things I want to do before I take this thing around the block. I've already pulled the radiator cap off and checked that it does in fact have some water. It's muddy, but it's there. So I'm going to fire it up with the radiator cap off here in just a moment so that I can make sure that I can see that it's circulating. So I'll let it go all the way up to operating temperature. I'm also going to check the alternator charge to make sure that we are maintaining the battery. There's not much worse than getting everything together and getting out on the road and working out a test drive and then realizing that you don't have an alternator and the battery dies. So the gauge cluster in this car is originally one of those digital gauge clusters, and it's got a couple of short sweep analog style gauges for things like fuel level and water temperature and oil pressure, but I don't trust them. They kind of operate, but kind of don't. So it does have an aftermarket water temperature gauge in it. That one I do trust, or at least mostly. I really wish I had an oil pressure gauge on it, but that's kind of neither here nor there. So since I've ran this car a little bit, I'll go ahead and check the oil and make sure we're not getting any fluids mixing. And the oil is arguably over full, but it is clean. So we'll call that good enough. Get this thing fired up. Just poured out the radiator, so that's doing something. 14.16 volts at idle. I'm gonna go ahead and close this up before I lose any more of this. Nothing in this engine bay that makes me not want to drive it right now. So let's try and get this thing back up and down and out the door. So I just put 5 gallons of gas in it, and lo and behold, that fuel level gauge actually came up. It was down around 1/4 of a tank, and now it's showing about 3/4, which is about right for adding 5 gallons. So the voltmeter seems to be working, and I think that oil pressure gauge even works. I mean, kinda, at least gives us kind of an idea. So water temperature, that sending unit's not there. So it's running a little warm for being just sitting here in the garage, in my opinion. So we'll have to see, it might have some air in it. So, but having those 3 gauges work significantly changes my plan of attack on that. So that's really, really good. All right, so I think it's time we go ahead and take this thing for a test drive. I pulled it out of the garage already to make sure that, and I kind of made sure that things work in terms of going forward and reverse. While I was under the car, I realized that there was a wire going down to the transmission that is not hooked up to the torque converter control. So I know I won't have lockup, but I'll fix that whenever we get the car back in the air. So let's go ahead and fire it up. I got you guys on a new hanger. I don't know how well this is going to work yet. So this hanger in the white car shakes way too much, but that car's obviously a lot different. So anyway, so back, no problem. That thunk was the torque arm in the torque arm mount. All right, so forward. Definitely, I don't think we're firing on all 8. And we've either got gunk in the carburetor or something, because there's a pretty significant stumble. It could be just tuned, but honestly, ooh. All right, second, third. Oh, got all 4 gears. That's good. Actually going a little quick for here. All right, we'll go on down the road a little bit. I don't want to go too far, but just far enough to see what's going on. Trans is actually working really good. The steering wheel's about 90 degrees off. Need to see what we can do about that. Brakes, brakes, brakes. Yep, that works pretty good. All right, turn around. All right, come on, baby. She is slow. Yeah, throttle valve cable needs adjusting. Maybe a governor spring. Nice solid shifts, so it doesn't, no slipping, no real clunking other than the torque arm mount, so that's good news. Oh. Well, that's good news. We might throw some brake pads on this thing. It's coming around though. It definitely is. Seems to be accelerating much better. Just normal driving. So yeah, TV cable not adjusted well. All right, I got it back up in the air. Let's go ahead and get this exhaust out of here so we can get it fixed up. All right, now that that's out of the way, okay, just double check this is the one we're after. Shorten her up a little bit. This is the ground we're using. Yep, 12 volts. Sweet. Click. All right. Torque converter control lock lockup stuff hooked back up. All right, well, I got the new to me exhaust system on the car. So basically I ended up cutting it all apart and using material from both the existing Y pipe and the intermediate pipe to fix the Y pipe. The turn down with no muffler is temporary. I have a buddy with a loudmouth 1 exhaust system that he took off of a car, and he's going to donate it. So he's down in North Carolina, and I'll have to go down there and pick it up from him at some point on a trip down to Georgia or something. So just a 3-inch single turn down. It's loud, so I'll let you guys hear that in a second. All right, well, obviously not the best looking or sounding thing that I own, but it's better than it was, so that's good. I went ahead and did an oil change on it while I had the thing up in the air, and try and, I guess, kind of at a point of needing to drive the thing again. Well, wouldn't you know it, I was getting ready to get this thing to where we could take it back out and do a little bit more ripping, and I threw a fresh fuel filter in there, and it stopped wanting to clicky clack. That pump down there is no longer good, I guess. So I've got a fuel pump coming from my good buddy Jason. It's just a Holly Blue pump. So along with the fuel pump coming, I've got a few other little knickknacks that I figure I'll go ahead and throw in the car too. And then we'll get it back up in the air and do a little bit more prep. I think I'm gonna try and race this car sometime soon. So join me on the next episode or two as we get this thing prepped and ready to go. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and I'll see you next time.